positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic, spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor. All right, all you positive heads. Welcome. Here we grow again. It is a fantabulous Friday here in the studio. The first Friday episode, I do believe. Is it the first? Maybe the second since the new year. I don't know. Why am I trying to figure that out? I know it's the first with me and all the amazing guests here at the Mystic Manor this week. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hi.
Salutations and greetings. It's been like we took a few weeks off over the holidays with no guest here. So this is, the first time we've done this since like mid-December. And it's been an epic week so far. Of course, it's my favorite day here at the Mystic Manor because I spend the full day with these guys. We start with recording the podcast. Then we're going to go on a hike at Inspiration Point. And so I'm excited to get the day cooking. Why don't we start this episode with just going around the four of you and sharing a little bit about what your experience has been like so far. Who wants to go first? Okay, am I gonna? It's like a teacher.
It's Jessica's birthday.
Oh, it is your birthday!
Yay!
Oh, wow, we gotta. What should we do for her birthday on the show?
Sing.
Sing? Should we just start it off singing?
Yes.
I won't sing the song that me and my brother sing at all of our family gatherings. We just we do. I'll share it with you guys because it's. We basically everyone will start singing and we'll be like birthday and stuff to you. Oh, birthday, I guess. Like, really very depressed, you know. Like, so if you want, we can do that version.
That's nice.
Totally high vibe.
Something new.
Yeah, totally.
In the vein of parody.
Yes, exactly. Well, happy birthday. Happy, as I like to say, happy 3D incarnation anniversary. Mm-hmm. Because your birth is really just an incarnation moment, right? That's what I believe. That's the story I'm sticking to. Although, over the years, now I'm starting to question, because I always write that on people's Facebook walls or whatever, happy 3D incarnation anniversary. And it's like, hold on, are we still in 3D? Or should I be saying 5D? Should I say, so whatever D we're in, congratulations for being here. Thank you for coming
thank you.
So, with that being said, I think you should start off sharing, birthday girl, what your week has been like so far.
My week has been magical. I feel very connected to everyone, my entire group here. So
Your
I think,
clan?
Yeah, my clan,
Your
my
tribe?
new clan, my new tribe of friends. Yeah, it's been really transformational. Lots of healing done. The first few days were a little bit heavy, but we lightened it up. We did like an awesome conscious comedy, which is soon to be aired on YouTube, I believe. So
Yes, super funny, actually.
it came organic improv. It was really a lot of fun.
Let me just throw out real quick, because I always get scolded by everyone around here that I never tell anyone what our social is or where to find. So we've just started posting vlogs of all the things that are happening here at the house. If you go to youtube.com/we are optimistic, and remember, mystic is spelled with a Y, like mystical. And the video you guys improv'd, which is hilarious, I just watched last night, is going to be coming up there shortly. We just put one from our New Year's party and Christmas, and just there's more and more. And that's where the show's going to be here on March 1st. So anyway, proceed. I just want to throw that out before I forgot.
That was a perfect segue. I had a QHHT session with Mary Beth last night. It lasted 5 hours. It was a tandem session with my brother, who's actually right next to me. Super cool to go with a family member here at the Mystic Manor. And there's been like weird synchronicities, like Amanda and Brandon are from the same high school. So
not Brandon me, as
other
in
Brandon.
The other Brandon, who is a second time guest here, who you heard in, I don't know what week you were here.
November 11th.
November 11th week, yeah.
He's back. Back for more.
Yeah, that's a wild synchronicity, because it's like the middle of nowhere, like some small town in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
And the workshops have been amazing too. The evening workshops that we have had. We had Soul Jam, which people got to share all their talents, which was really magical to see. And then it's called Sensual Awakening. And that was just really beautiful to connect with all the souls in the room. So other events at the Mystic Manor are highly worth checking out.
Yeah.
If you can't come and stay, if you're not staying as a retreat,
if you're local and you want to just come to a workshop kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And then, I also had a singular healing with Petra, who's the priestess of play here at the Mystic Manor. She was actually in on our conscious comedy. So, definitely bringing out the playful side of me. So from the transformation from the first few days to now, it was like lots of release and crying to like me just like being so happy all the time and just feeling like this state of bliss. So it's been a pretty magical week so far.
Yeah.
And it's not even done.
And it's not over.
And I have a healing with Leah tomorrow, and
Wow.
and we get to hang out today, so pretty blessed.
Well, hanging out with me is by far the best part, right?
Yeah, totally.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Just double checking. Okay.
And also, like, our
the
rooms are
original
super
draw.
cool, too, here. Like, I'm in the Gaia room, and it's super, like, it's like this circle. It's really cool.
I love it. That's my
Yeah,
favorite
it's
room.
high vibe. Yeah.
That's my favorite room. And did you say who you are? Just by the way, everyone just say their
Hi,
names.
my name is Jessica, aka Jessa, and I also want to give a quick shout out to Susie and Eric for introducing me to Positive Head at our shamanic.
Yay, Susie and Erica.
Yeah, Eric.
Eric.
Yeah.
Oops,
they're in Colorado now, but yeah, I'm sure like they'll listen to this eventually. So I miss you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Susie and Eric. And then it was Jameson. We should just go around the horn here.
Okay. Greetings, I'm Jameson. I'm Jessica's brother. Happy birthday, sis.
Thanks.
You're welcome. This week thus far has been marvelous, and the QHHT session that we did with Mary Beth Elgersby, Mary Beth, who's a resident healer here, was really changing.
Yeah.
It had a lot of effect.
You guys did it together, right? In the same room?
In tandem, yeah.
We were laying like in the same bed next to each other.
Wow.
And went in
she's ever done
together.
that with two siblings, so that
Wow.
was really interesting and extraordinary and powerful.
Yeah.
And I have a session with Samantha Lotus tomorrow, and I've done a session with I'm blanking, but I've done a lot of healing here. Mostly even just with the group exchange that we've had available to us, and the energy and things that we've shared. I will say that one thing that has been a major shift for me was having been triggered by perceived inauthenticity in others. And it started actually when I was in India this time last year at an ashram, and just sort of just being like kind of off-put, I guess, by my perception of those that were just, praying to be seen praying, or, being in the vortex, but just to show others that they're in the vortex kind of thing. And I realized here that triggering of perceived inauthenticity in others, or being triggered by inauthenticity in others, or fakeness, is actually just a question I'm asking myself, or a concern, or a mirroring that I'm doing. And it's kind of like this question of, well, how real are you being, Jameson?
Interesting.
And it's like, well, that's a good question,
Yeah.
That's a really great question. And to be able to perceive that if you're feeling that towards someone else, and you may even, if you're truly seeing it, and why are you seeing it? Like, what is that, why is that showing up?
Right.
As it's a mirror in some way.
So,
Interesting.
So I've seen mirrors here at the Mystic Manor, and it's been really good for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I look forward to talking about that more with you today, because for those of you who don't know, and maybe even this is the first time you're hearing one of these episodes, I end up on Fridays, which is now, of course, we record on the podcast, and this is my full day that I spend with them. So, of course, we're sharing meals throughout the week, and sometimes hot tub or whatever. But I'm, full on working on all the things that I have on my plate to launch Optimistic and otherwise. So this is really my first day to really drop in deep with everyone. So I look forward to hearing more about that experience from you.
Cool.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
And this week for me as well has been really transformational. It's been so great to be able to connect with everybody here. I guess for me, I came with a goal in mind, and that goal was to be able to express myself, because I feel like I'm so locked away within my own body, and I don't know how to show my true self to other people. And one of the biggest takeaways for me when we were trying to unearth all of these things that happened in our past, I noticed that I locked myself away from myself. So I guess the biggest takeaway for me was to get out of my head and just drop into my heart, and that's where truth lives. So it's been a major practice for me this week to just kind of like tune into my heart and just find that truth and just let it flow out without overanalyzing. And there's been many synchronicities. Brandon, another guest here, it ends up that we graduated from the same high school, And not to speak for him, but I think both of us, after chatting, noticed that in high school we had a lot of trouble connecting with other people in our high school. You know, we had friends, but that deep connection was kind of hard to establish. So now we're here kind of healing that timeline and connecting deeply with each other. So that's really beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's, to me, that's just mind blowing that you guys end up here together, and it's like, and the fact that you guys are really, connecting yourselves powerfully. It's like, it's such obvious energetic ties.
Is it mind blowing though?
I mean, I guess, right. I guess, let me rephrase that as I still marvel at the magic of that sort of thing happening every time, because it's just so beautiful and powerful.
Yeah. So it's been amazing, to say the least.
Yay.
Yeah. More to come.
More to come. Mr. Brandon.
More of Mr. Brandon to come.
More of Mr. Brandon.
Here I am again. Thank you.
Who are you? Who are the guests that were here with you?
It's Dariana, Joe, and Christy.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Floating around now.
Okay.
And a lot coming up through me and for me. And the synchronicities never cease to amaze me as well. I guess kind of feeling called to pick up where I left off in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
I just come across Mary Beth, who you guys have been talking about, the QHHT session. And I had mine after the podcast last week. And that was another major synchronicity because she shares my mother's name, Mary Elizabeth. And in the moment that I met her, she reminded me of what seemed to be an identical mirror image, doppelganger of my mother.
Wow.
So I knew I needed to set up a session with her. It was super powerful, and it ended up not being a QHHT or a past life regression. It just evolved and unfolded into its own magic. It was really amazing. I got to experience life as a bee.
Really?
Wow.
And that was really powerful. Being in the consciousness of something that has no intention to be anything other than itself.
Yeah.
A bee being a bee.
Yeah. I mean, how symbolically perfect, Like, I always say, I'm pretty sure that's the message that I was supposed to get encoded, because my initials are BBB. Like, okay, I'm supposed to figure out how to be. So you were a bee that was being like, there's the inception is real.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And bees have actually been my power animal for a few years now. Spirit animal, what have you.
Yeah, cool.
Strong symbol of community and of service.
Yeah.
Since moving to California, I've been swarmed by bees 3 times.
Really?
Wow.
I'm not stung. Yeah, they love to just land on me while I'm doing yoga or hanging out, like buzz around my face and say what's up. Remind me that I'm on my path. Remind me to connect. And
cool.
yeah, it was really powerful. And then that was actually so I've done past life regressions before, and it's always been in a person. But she did a little exercise to check in with my capacity to imagine and visualize the experience, and I noticed like a kind of a glitching, almost when I was trying to force what I was trying to imagine as opposed to letting it come to me. And when I was experiencing myself as a bee, she's like, "Oh, look down at your feet," and I was looking down trying to imagine feet, but they were glitching, and I was like, "No, I don't think I have feet," and that's where I came to the realization of being a bee. And it just kind of set up the next progression, which was getting to experience being water.
Wow.
And I can't tell for sure, but what it really intuitively felt like was I was the water in the cup as Vajra was painting that dragon that's downstairs in the dining room.
Whoa.
And also very similar lesson, because I felt the paint in the water, and obviously water has this no intention of being anything other than it itself.
Right.
And so I felt this, it was not so much like a desire, but just like a almost a need or just an energetic resonance to be pure, like to not let anything that's outside of myself into my being and my presence.
Yeah. Right.
And
wow.
That was super powerful. And then, started working with guides and energies and ancestors, family, like healed some
things with my grandfather and my mother, and between her and the Akashic Records reading with Leah, like completely shifted my senses. Even like things that I was averse to prior to coming to the retreat, like were opened up, and now I enjoy, like the scent of rose, for example. And there was a lot of rose frequency and literal roses coming into my life that whole week, and so yeah, the magic never ceases to amaze me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So, okay, that takes everyone kind of their updates. Super. What's that?
That almost actually only catches me up to this week.
Oh, that was your last QATC. Oh, yeah. Please, continue then.
So I walk in, the typical welcoming, kind of mellow evening, sort of, even though it turned into Soul Jam, which was its own epicness. So like sitting with myself, and like energy's coming up of like my taking up space and giving myself permission to do so, and permission to express. Anyway, so I'm hanging out by the fire pit, and Leah and Petra are having a session in the tent, which is a good maybe 30, 50 feet off from the fire pit. And I'm doing my own oracle card reading, doing my own thing, and then all of a sudden I'm just feeling blasts of energy from the tent. And I start having these very powerful, energetic activations.
Wow.
People call kriyas or kundalini awakenings. Like I've had various experiences with this, so very familiar with what it was, and just to the point where I was like, okay, I can't even read what this card is about. I need to set this down and just let whatever's coming through come through. And kind of glad that I was having it by myself, because it's an experience that has been very personal for me and very challenging for me to be seen in that sort of capacity, and then enter the Soul Jam. And one of the participants, or one of the guests at the Soul Jam, ends up having a very deep, powerful healing experience in a similar way that was very confusing for a lot of people, because it's kriyas and kundalini awakenings and trauma releases, and however it manifests.
Energy is moving, and you don't know what they're experiencing. They're just...
And even as like this spiritual realm is starting to open up more and more for all of us, we're all awakening more and more to it. These more subtle energies are something that are not often spoken about, and are often, we don't even know what is really going on, because how could we can put labels and and what have you, but really it's a personal experience. But witnessing it in him, and he had just shared very vulnerably about how he had been rejected by his family growing up, and how through the power of hip-hop and music that he was able to connect with
all sorts of people, and
all sorts of
and his ancestors.
Yeah, exactly. So healing these relationships, calling in, feeling connected to the family you choose, and yes, healing his ancestors, and then the sound healing to close the ceremony. All the instruments were handmade in Africa, and that's where his roots were.
Right.
And so enter the sound healing, and the vibrations literally took hold of his body, and he was having, very intense energetic contractions that some people were confusing with perhaps epilepsy or something medical, but
interesting. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, having personal experience with it, witnessing someone else going through, is like, but also feeling a little bit stifled in that I couldn't necessarily speak up for him and hold space for him, because I wasn't the like healer in the session sort of thing. And getting to sit with that later was really powerful. But anyways, I found it kind of interesting that several healers in the space kind of rushed in to almost try to stop the experience, or take it away from him, like kind of trying to give him water, pouring water down his throat when he's literally not even in his body, trying to stand him up when he's not in his body. And even if it was something medical, because I also have experience with friends who have had seizures and epilepsy and sort of thing, you have to let it run its course.
Yeah.
And it's the same with a Kriya or Kundalini awakening or energetic experience. You have to let it run its course.
Right.
And there was also healers holding space for it as well, and it happened exactly as it was meant to happen. But more importantly, having it be something that could open the conversation for me and getting to express all this to other healers and guests in the space, that this happens to me, and if it does, like, I don't want it to be stopped or
Right.
anything like that. And so it actually did end up happening again for me during like a totally impromptu freestyle music jam session around the fire pit, like a couple nights later or the night later. I don't know, time's a blur.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started having powerful activations, and I was like, because I was called to freestyle, and throat chakra blocks have been major for me.
Right.
And so like this whole week in expression, the conscious comedy, and being on the podcast and the show last time, all this stuff is just like really powerful for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, being called to freestyle and that impromptu in the moment just totally locked up, and like fell into like what that was, the trauma of like being rejected for my voice and as a child and so on and so forth, but just feeling it all energetically and emotionally, and then having everybody just truly hold me and support me and hold space for that experience was incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And I feel like so many people have that sort of blockage. Like, you know, I think freestyling or whatever is such a great space for people to kind of work through that, because it's like, it's very playful, and especially if you're in a container where there's no judgment. It's like, you don't have to be, there's no good or bad. It's just like participating and, you know, keeping it light. But so many of us, you know, struggle with like that throat chakra blockage. I feel like it's like the most common
I
thing.
definitely do. Like prior to this week, even like on the first day, Sam said like, your throat chakra is locked. And then when we were walking into this podcast, they were like, you're the loudest one here, so you sit here. And I was like, that's like not, for a while, like it definitely did lock up, and I was very, very, very quiet.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to project my voice. Even when I was working as like a server, like I didn't know how to project my voice well.
Wow.
And I like almost like people couldn't hear me at tables, and it was just like this deep programming that we get that like we shouldn't have a voice.
Right.
And I think it's so powerful to have a voice, and also it empowers others to find their voice. So you should never feel like the lesson I think I've learned from this whole week is like you should never dim yourself down or diminish yourself on anyone's behalf, because honestly, by shining, you're allowing others to shine as well.
And there's plenty of room for everyone's voice to be heard, and everyone has the moment when they're, you know, I think back to the first like spiritual-esque book I ever read was The Celestine Prophecy. And it talks about, if anyone out there's read it, or I highly recommend it. It's like fictional, but I think based off of like, you know, real phenomenon energetically, and, you know, and I remember them talking about in the future, you know, it's all about group work, and there will be moments when you learn to read the energy in the room, just like this, us sitting around a microphone. It's an energetic, you know, bouncing the ball around. Like, oh, I feel something that wants to come through and come out, so I'm speaking up all of a sudden. Like, okay, I have the talking stick. And so, but in the next moment, it could be like one of you feels really inspired to say something because you have the right piece that's meant to come through next. So yes, there can be someone who leads situations primarily or whatever, but we all take turns being the student and the teacher, and we all have a voice, and we all actually want to be heard.
Exactly.
And you know, and that is the thing. It's like anyone out there, you deserve to be heard as much as any other person. And there's moments when actually you have the medicine that no one else has. And if you stifle that because of some silly story that your voice is not worthy or relevant, then it's going to lead to, you know, issues within yourself. So I think, you know, just us all understanding that there's not one of us that's more worthy to be heard than any other is a great starting point for that to, you know, unravel. And then, you know, when you're in groups where everyone sort of understands that, then we can all hold space for each other, as, you know, some of us have more fear around speaking up than others, you know what I mean? And then people like myself who've just talked too much kind of overcome it by doing 1,000+ episodes of the podcast. But, you know, it's still, there's still moments where I'm like reluctant to speak up. And, you know, it's like, if I am, then, you know, I know most people are dealing with some level of that.
Yeah, I think it took me actually having like a major shutdown. Like I completely shut down one of the days. I think it was only like the second full day here, and I actually like could not speak.
Wow.
And then that morning after that it unfolded in me being like, I think the loudest I've ever been with the conscious like comedy after that.
Yeah.
But it took me like shutting down and being like, you know what, this is not who I want to be. Like, I have to come into like myself and own my energy and what wants to come out, because that bounces off of others. They feed on it.
Yep.
Like we all do.
Yep.
And so once I expressed that, I was like, you know what, like it's okay sometimes to feel like shit, like, and feel shut down, and know that you can also move through that and move through that isolation and like be brave and be bold. And honestly, it empowers others. It doesn't dim their light at all. Like if anything, it's the opposite. And like they want you to show up. And then it opens the space more for co-creation, and unifies everyone ultimately. So
100%.
Yeah.
I think we noticed pretty quickly that a common theme for all of us here was like expression. And it's funny hearing Jessa say that she was feeling kind of stifled was surprising to me, because when I met Jessa, I saw her as this like expressive, like beautiful person that wants to connect with people like so easily. And I wanted to be like that. So to hear you express that you had the same issues that I'm feeling was like nice to be able to connect, and it gave me permission to do the same.
Aw,
so
thank you.
Thanks for not dimming your light.
Isn't it funny, like you just said, we walked in the room, and the first thing I do is we're all sitting around a table with the one microphone in the middle. So I always want the loudest person to be farthest away, right? And so we're trying to figure it out, and I'm like, who's the loudest? And I'm like assessing, like, and I'm like, oh, it's you, Jessa. Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
And so that's really funny that like, you have, and then you have this story of, oh, I waited tables and no one could hear me because I was, I wasn't projecting my voice. So
yeah, it was really like that experience. Actually, it was interesting because prior to even doing that, I couldn't look people in the eye.
Wow.
And now I feel like it's so easy for me to do now. So it's something that like you can overcome things like that, and it's more than just like it's beyond the physical. Like there's such like when you connect to yourself and you connect to that higher power and that source energy, like it's just so powerful. And then you can really like become and rewire yourself to be the person who you ultimately would love to be, because even in those like dark times, like when you are shut down, like there are ways out of it. Like there's so many ways out of it.
Not only, like you just said, can you? It's your destiny to overcome it. And so
it's
if you start,
Tony Robbins.
if you start telling that story, and you talked about like connecting to source, and that's your way through it. It's absolutely. It's like, and that ties to keeping your heart open, and like having your heart open to your process, where you're at in your process. If you're at a point where you're really shut down still, okay, instead of beating yourself up for that, like have your heart open to yourself and say, it's okay, this is a part of my process, and I'm destined to get through it. And while I'm here in this place, I'm going to love myself here.
Exactly.
And then you're being gentle with yourself. And that love is what's going to actually transmute and start to free up the energy. And next thing you know, you've got a jolt of energy where you speak up in a situation where you maybe wouldn't have. And you're like, whoa, that felt good. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let's try that again. And it's like
get that momentum.
Yeah. It's like I instantly picture like a dog at a beach when the waves are coming in and out, and they're running and they're testing the water, and then, getting a little more. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. So open heart and loving yourself where you're at is the start. Wow. We're already at 30-some minutes. It goes so quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Who else has something that they feel compelled to share with the audience?
I mean, similar in the same vein, I just want to reiterate the appreciation for you showing up in your authenticity and your vulnerability. When I showed up my first day to Vajra's wedding and getting to witness you being nervous about giving a speech.
Oh yeah, right.
And my story of you is like just the utmost confidence in your expression, and so seeing that really gave me permission to be where I'm at in my process.
Right.
So
I remember that now. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I'll still, each time with Optimistic, it's like doing an opening monologue. There's 35 people just staring back at me. It's a lot easier to talk to a microphone with me in the room alone versus a bunch of eyes staring right back at you, And so, and it excites me, and you get butterflies a little bit, and that's how I know it's for me. It's like, yeah, you're here to like step up to those moments of, where you're feeling a little trepidatious. That's your growth. You found your growth edge.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you acclimate.
Or excite you. You should.
Exactly. and then over time, you acclimate, and it gets easier and easier. And then, now there's a new growth edge. And that's going to be our journey for eternity, I think. Does anyone else have anything they feel inspired to share as we wind down?
Yep.
Yeah. I just want to say how awesome this podcast has been in transforming my life. When I first started listening, I was actually moving to Ireland. Didn't know how I was going to stay there, was just taking the huge risk. And I just manifested getting into Trinity College, and that came through not just this, but like a lot of internal work. But the Positive Head podcast was definitely, I'd say, a catalyst in me believing that I could manifest my desires and it would happen, and just believing, like, casting, as you say, that take a leap of faith and the net will appear.
Yeah, leap and trust in the net will appear.
Exactly. And so I just wanted to thank Brandon for facilitating that.
Well, thank you for being crazy enough to take my advice on the show.
Yeah. Now I'm getting a master's degree I never intended on getting.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well, I just played a role, as I say, it's all reflections of you. So this show is just an extension of everyone who's connected to it. There's such close vibrational matches. It's just you reflecting you back to you. So I'm just playing the role in a small role, but yeah.
Doing it well.
And I'm just super grateful to be a part. Super, super grateful.
Yeah.
What do you got to share, Brandon? Brandon's got a lot over here.
Yeah, you can tell.
Just, vibrating, shaking, sweating. Just feeling a lot of excitement for what's unfolding. And excited to continue all of our conversations, and excited to see how I can further continue to contribute and co-create this whole experience. And
thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been, started to have a conversation about, the membership program you have involved, and
Our Patreon.
And things. Yeah. And I've been involved with a lot of membership communities, and just like to maybe plant the seed of being able to bring this experience, the whole Mystic Manor experience, to as many people as humanly or ethereally possible.
Yeah.
And excited, just super, super excited.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to help co-create. Yeah, Brandon's referencing, I was talking to him yesterday because he's done quite a bit of community building stuff. And I was talking about how I really want to get the Patreon to a point where it's like, just optimized. And, if any of you guys have any ideas of things you'd like to see or offerings, we want to continue to improve what we can offer to engage, because obviously not everyone's going to be able to come and stay here. but like Brandon, you just said, how do we get people as engaged as possible and get them to share? And that's one of the reasons we started the open vlogging, on the YouTube page. And, we just want to constantly be reinventing ourselves. And, for those of you who do want to come to the Mystic Manor, been thinking about it, we have, as of now, we have spots through the end of June. And those are filling up. I mean, most of them between now and June are filled up. but they're still, I don't know, maybe a third of them are still available, or a quarter of them. So if you've been thinking about it, now would definitely be the time to reach out. We can talk about what it would take to get you guys here. You can schedule a time to talk with me about that, dates, and if we need a payment plan or any of those things. I want to be flexible with people. If someone feels the call to be here, I just really want to do everything in my power to make that happen. So you can schedule a time with me at calendly.com/talk with Brandon, and Calendly is CALENDLY.com, and then /talk with Brandon. Also, if you haven't seen we have some videos showing the Mystic Manor, also the trailer for the talk show Optimistic that's going to be coming out. We've pushed it back a few times now. Everything takes longer than you expect. And as of this broadcast, March 1st is going to be the date. So I highly, highly doubt we're going to push it back further than that, but I'm not going to say for sure because there's so many variables. But you can see the trailer at optimistic.tv and some other videos and information about the retreats here. And I'd absolutely love you guys to come if you're feeling called. Let's make it happen. And thank you guys all here for showing up and co-creating, because none of this would be happening without you and all the past guests and the future guests that are choosing to, sign up for this wild ride and co-create this with us. And I am eternally grateful to each and every one of you, that have supported the Mystic Manor magical madness.
Grateful to be here. Yeah.
Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
As you know, the pleasure is all mine. And with that being said, I suppose we'll get into we're going to go on a little hike today to Inspiration Point. Go check that out. And any last minute things? Brandon shaking his head. Yes, I got one more thing.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize my appreciation for your generosity and the offering of the discounts and the payment plan. I think I actually turned down a discount from you because
you're amazing.
Well, and thank you. But mostly because I have gained so much value from you that I wanted to support this, and that's mainly why I'm here. Obviously, getting to experience you and everything. All the other magic here is just like cherries and just like abundance of fruit on top, and that's amazing. But I also just want to emphasize what you did for me and letting me come a second week since staying in my van, doing the van life thing and all that. Just instead of it being a discount situation, you added value to my experience. Yeah, and deeply, deeply appreciate that, and look forward to adding value to all of the Positive Heads experience as well.
You were already doing it, my friend, and thank you for showing up. Like I said, none of this would be happening. And there's some really exciting things that are bubbling up like right now. And all the goodness that I know, Optimistic has been the ultimate stretch producing that show, and to now get it birthed out into the world. None of it would be happening without you guys coming and being a part of it and co-creating the space so that it can have a home. And, it's been such a ride for me. And I know we're just in the beginning, but I know this first year will always be super special because it's like, I think people look back if something goes really far and then you look back, I remember the early days, and these are the early days. And so, you guys are the most glorious guinea pigs. And with that being said, we are going to sign off and go experience some more, beautiful hike right now. And I hope all of you out there are having a magical moment wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone, you want to say anything? A collective goodbye? So long, farewell. Yeah,
I just want to send positive love, light, energy to everyone listening right now, and know that you are loved wherever you are.
We love
you so much. Thanks.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.